up, everybody? I didn't have time to do any video up front. I just wanted to come to you tonight. I want to share something with you. I got a couple things I want to share with you. Um, One, they just happened to find, and they just started reporting it. I don't know how many people know about this yet or not. By the way, I put the mic down here. Hopefully, the sound doesn't cut out or anything. So if you jump on and you hear me, um, go ahead and let me know that the sound is good and everything. That way we can get going with this. How's everybody's week been? Mine has been a fairly good week most of the time. Tomorrow's going to be busy. Woo-wee. So when you jump on, just let me know. Hey, Brandy, hey, how you doing? Is the sound good? Oh, you're over there on YouTube. YouTube don't like me either. Uh, all right. Is the sound good? Can you hear me fine? Let's see if she can hear me. Let's see. Y'all see the title to this here? We need to protect our children, okay? Everybody, we all need to stand together in what I'm getting ready to go over. Um, can you? Okay, awesome. Okay, so I was actually my mom told me about this. I had to go look it up just to see if it was true. But it's a daggum shame that it's going on. Have y'all heard what the State Department is starting to spend money on? Well, they just spent like a little over $20,000 on. Um, Let me show you real quick. And I'm using a fact checker. How y'all like that? Biden administration is now funding drag shows in Ecuador. I mean, in Ecuador. Why are we spending money in Ecuador on stuff that we don't need to be spending money on anyway? $20,000 would probably feed a whole lot of people that are suffering right now in our country. No, let's spend 20 freaking $1,000 over in Ecuador. Now, there's a whole bunch of stuff here, fact checking, but if I want to, even the fact checkers say this is true. Fact checkers kicking Biden in the butt's what they're doing. But what I mean, $20,000. It's taxpayers' money when the government does that. So that means you and I just funded a drag queen show, and they're going to probably be a lot more going on because they want to teach diversity and inclusion. Diversity, diverged. Doesn't that mean to go apart? Diverge, converge, come together. Diverge, go apart. But inclusion. I don't know. But either way, I think some of the words that everybody's using just crazy sometimes. But congratulations, you are now the proud funder of a drag queen show in a foreign country. Way to go, U.S. citizens. It ain't us. It's doofus up there in Washington, D.C. Okay. I wanted to start with that for a couple reasons here. Have y'all heard the stories that people or parents are taking their children to these drag queen shows, and the drag queens actually, there are some actually talking about you shouldn't be bringing your kids to these type events. Way to go. Kudos to them, whatever they want to do. I'm not judging or anything like that, but there's some out there saying that parents need to be the ones who are looked at and investigated for bringing their children to these adult sex oriented shows. And parents, especially out in California, boy, they're bringing out their 6, 7, 8 year olds to watch drag queens. And it's been shown that, and I got corrected today. In my mind, I was thinking a drag queen was a guy who dressed up as a woman and then, done these sexual acts and things like that. Not actual sex on stage, but I was corrected today and say that they're actually saying that It's women that are dressing up the other way, wearing, fake men's sexual organs and stuff like that, and performing these different acts in front of these children and their parents. And the parents are just clapping it up. Look, little Johnny, that's what you get to be when you grow up. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Um, so that starts. They're targeting children all the way around. They're targeting children, okay, and they're teaching the children you need to accept everybody and everything. No, you shouldn't accept everything. You should be respectful and courteous and loving to everybody as a person, but you don't have to accept everything that they do. If that's against your moral compass and everything, then don't do it. You talk about it. You ain't got to cut the person down that's doing it, but talk, hey, I don't agree with what you're doing. I think you're exploiting yourself. You're exploiting kids, all whatever you're talking about. But let me ask you, see if anybody remembers this one. I think this is funny, actually, but not what I'm getting ready to show you. Let's see if I can get this thing to play real fast here. Let's see if you can hear this. See if y'all remember this.
My room does not have a flag. It used to be there, but I took it down during COVID because it made me uncomfortable. And
flag made her uncomfortable.
I packed it away and I don't know where, and I haven't found it yet. But my kid today goes, hey, it's kind of weird that we just stand and then, we say it to nothing. And I'm like, oh, well, I gotta find it. Like, I'm working on it. I got you. In the meantime, I tell this kid, we do have a flag in the class that you can pledge your allegiance to. And he looks around and he goes, oh, that one?
Who remembers that? Do y'all remember when that came out? This teacher, I just posted this on my Facebook anyway because of what I'm going to show you next. But this teacher is taking kindergarten, first grade, that type of child, and teaching them to pledge allegiance to the LGBTQ flag. LGBTQ flag. And it had a whole bunch of other different colors in it. So it's not just a plain LGBTQ, because that thing, that organization, that political movement is a minority screaming loud. That's all they are. It's not as big as they seem. They want you to think that. Okay. But she is brainwashing these children at that age to pledge allegiance to that flag. Sickening. The only reason she's able to do what she just did, or when she did that video, is because of that flag. That's the only reason. If she was in any other country, ladies, don't get mad at me because we live here in the United States, but she would be barefoot, pregnant in the kitchen and slapped around if she done something like that. That's how other cultures are. Sorry. That's why the United States is the best. But this party out there, these little minority, loudmouth little, you know what I want to say, but I'm not. They are screaming the loudest, and we Americans are not standing up enough. So we need to start standing up and saying, no, we're not accepting what you want to accept. They keep telling us, hey, especially Christians, they tell the Christians, don't force your views and beliefs down my throat. Well, how about the same thing turns around? Don't force your views and beliefs down my throat and down our children's throat. They're not old enough to make a decision on what's going on anyway. And you're starting in kindergarten. Ron DeSantis stopped that here in Florida, and it became a big, big deal. Briefly, the Don't Say Gay bill. It's not in the bill at all. Bunch of morons. It don't say gay. That ain't what it is. It says you can't teach kindergarten, first, second, third graders anything about sexuality and gender. You're not supposed to do that. And then from that point on, it's age appropriate. Ain't got nothing to do with saying or not saying gay. Bunch of moron. That's what it is right here. It's in there. But this is what got me to show you that first one, because this is funny. I'm glad to. Couldn't have been a better thing. The teacher is removed from the class for suggesting students pledge allegiance to the LGBTQ flag. She's under investigation. I hope she goes to jail for treason because she's actually telling kids to pledge allegiance to a different country, a gay country. I said it, whatever. So she's trying to take citizens and make them other things. That's what she's doing. I hope they put her in jail, but it's in California, so she's not going to jail. She'll be probably made a statute of, and they'll praise her for it. Unless the parents stand together and say, we're not taking any of this crap anymore. You're not going to do it. Little Bobby doesn't need to know anything about transgender and transitioning and gay and lesbian and until they're in the appropriate age. And usually they're going to learn it from school, but not in school. If you know what I mean, your buddies are going to be talking about it and everything like that. It's just going to be part of the culture that they're in. Ain't a place for a teacher to be talking about that kind of stuff. So I hope they bury her in jail. She's real young. She needs to spend the rest of her life in jail. She didn't do anything to be put on the death penalty. I don't wish her death, but the rest of her life eating bread and water and trout. Know what I mean? Okay. Now, they're really, really big on this transgender transitioning type thing. You know, it's probably one of the biggest battles going on out there. Well, and this the Facebook might not like this. Twitter might not like this, and YouTube might not like this, but it's proven it doesn't work. Transitioning from one to another doesn't work. You cannot change your sex. Get it through your minds. But let me show you something, just so it's not me saying it. So they can't blame me. They can only blame the research. So sex reassignment doesn't work. Here's the evidence. So we're not going to go through this whole thing. But I want to go to this part right here. When the tumult and shouting die. So when these people go through this transition and the surgery and everything, for a little brief moment in history, there's a lot of praise, shouting, and joy. So the person feels real good about themselves. And for that split second, they feel like on top of the world, because before that, they probably felt, depressed, sad, lonely, and all that kind of, the normal stuff that teenagers go through when puberty and stuff starts to come in. The normal stuff that you and I actually work through. And here we are today, positive members of society and everything else. That's what the kids are going through. So they having all these weird feelings start coming up, and people want to coddle that and say, oh, you must be a girl, Bobby. Well, Sarah, you're probably a dude, and they're trying to do all these weird things. So, but when that stuff dies, when all the praise and the attaboy, attagirl, or whatever you want to say to them, when all that goes away, it's not easy to live in counterfeit sexual garb, because if you're born a male, you're still a male. I don't care what you look like, how big your boobs are, you're still a male, and it's shown. The most thorough follow-up of sex reassigned people extending over 30 years. So they did a study. They followed this for 30 years. And by the way, this is not here in America. Let's see here. I want to show y'all where it's at. I think this was over in Sweden. No, I had to find it. Maybe it's on the other page I got. So they followed these people who actually transitioned for 30 years. So this is nothing new. It's been around, almost my entire life. Funny, I didn't hear about it when I was growing up because it doesn't make sense. It's just absolutely asinine and crazy. But over 30 years and conducted Sweden, there it is right there. Sweden. So we're not doing it here in the United States. This ain't something conducted by the right wing or the left wing or anything like that. This is done in Sweden, where they accept just about anything and everything. Okay, so Sweden is there. It's a culture that's strongly supportive of the transgender community. Document and this during this research, they documented this lifelong mental unrest. 10 to 15 years after surgical reassignment, the suicide rate of those who had undergone the sex reassignment surgery rose 20 times as comparable peers. Not regular, non gay, straight people. The other transgender that didn't take the surgery, the other gay and lesbian, those are the peers they're talking about. It's in the same culture and realm. If they had the sexual transitional surgery, 20 times it went up that they commit suicide. And everybody here in the United States that's on this, oh, you need to let them do it. You need to let them start getting double mastectomies, radical mastectomies at the age of 8, 9. They're saying that it's because these people are going to commit suicide if you don't let them. Well, a 30-year study shows that after the assignment, the sexual surgical assignment, they're 20 times more likely to commit suicide. So it's backwards. These people on the left, that little minority, loudmouth little people out there, they don't have any idea what they're talking about. In fact, most doctors that are on their side won't even admit to the studies that are proving what they're saying wrong, which I got something, I'll show you that in a minute. So right here, this is who did it. And he says here, this is at Brigham University Aggressive Research Intelligence Facility. They did over 100 follow-up studies of post-operative transsexuals. So these are the people that actually had the wing wang cut off or had the little crack sewed up and put the thing on the end of it and all that good stuff. We're talking about those people. The Aggressive Research Intelligence Facility, which conducted reviews of healthcare treatments for the National Health Service, concludes that none of the studies that show that is good to, none of the studies provide conclusive evidence that gender reassignment is beneficial for the patients. So they're saying that all these studies show that this is beneficial for all these kids and all these, preteens and teens and young adults. It's beneficial for. They are saying that there is not a study out there that shows that any of this is beneficial. And it's also found most of the research that they're using to try to promote these surgeries is actually poorly designed, skewed for the results in favor of physical changing. What does that mean? That means they're falsifying the freaking information. So everybody go, oh, look, this must be good for Johnny and Billy. They want to be Sally and Susie. That ain't what it's about. They're lying to everybody. They're lying to the country. And the Biden administration is accepting this lie, and they're attacking our children in this country. Y'all don't believe it? Do your own research. I just gave you all the ones here. There was no evaluation of whether there are other treatments, such as long-term counseling, might help transsexuals, or whether their gender confusion might lessen over time. It starts when they're young, about 8, 9, 10, 11, that beginnings of puberty. Who remembers when your puberty started? Man, mine was a long time ago, but you started having all these weird things, feelings towards other people, opposite sex. I never had any feelings towards the same sex, but you might. I didn't say that you couldn't be gay. I didn't say that, but there's no reason to cut off everything and change everything, because it might be just the puberty and all the chemical imbalances going haywire. All you women out there, when you get pregnant, don't you start feeling a little weird when all those hormones start kicking in and going in? You feel like you're all crazy, like things are going crazy. He ain't gonna go around and cut you in half because you feel like you're crazy. It's just a thing. It happens. It's the body getting accumulated to the new hormones that are being released. Woo! I need to be a doctor. I should get paid for being a doctor. I'm just saying. But, or a psychologist. I don't want to be a psychiatrist. Then people want medicine. I don't like big pharma, so whatever. So the last thing here, one I want to talk about the most. What'd you say here, there, Miss Brandy? Let's see here. I saw that, and when she started speaking out, I believe that the LBGTQ community, the psychiatrists and psychologists, the same ones that are saying a man can get pregnant and bear a child, they all started, they're pushing her away. They shunned her. They didn't want to listen to her and all that kind of stuff. So take a look at this one. That goes right into that. What a good segue. Now, I just want to make y'all sure that I'm looking at WebMD. So all y'all people that go, don't be looking at the Inquirer. Well, we're not looking at the Inquirer or anything like that. We're looking at WebMD. And I don't really care about WebMD that much either, but at least they have some legit stuff that they got on their website. A lot better than the CDC and the FDA and the WHO and all them little people out there. At least they have a name, WebMD, CDC, FDA. Why is it always the three-letter companies are just stupid? I don't know. But here's what WebMD says. Doctors have failed them, say those who regret transitioning. They tried to shut these people up. So there's actually a thing, when people who transition to the opposite gender and later decide to reverse that transition, they shared about how they felt about the medical establishment had failed them, and they did a big Zoom conference. This is March 22nd, 2022. This just happened, okay? This ain't old news from 20 years ago. Affirmative medical care is defined as treatment with puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones for those with gender dysphoria to transition to the opposite sex, and is often followed by gender reassignment surgery. Double mastectomies, double radical mastectomies for these young 12, 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, stuff like that. I mean, no possibility of ever going back and being able to feed your own child. Because you're still a girl. You can still have kids if they didn't cut out the ovaries and everything and the uterus too. They could have just sewed up the vagina and put a schlong down there, and you have the ability to look like a guy in the lower half. But if you still have the uterus and the ovaries and you're able to produce the eggs and you have a place for the egg you can never, ever, 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 ever feed your own child, because some doctor said you need to have a bilateral radical mastectomy. Oh, by the way, you're 10. You don't have boobs yet usually, but they're going to go in there and cut it all out. Stupid, stupid, stupid. But there's growing concern. You don't hear about these doctors because they're shutting them up. Media is shutting them up. Democratic Party is shutting them up. LBGTQ is trying to sue, all this kind of stuff. But there's a growing concern among many doctors and other healthcare professionals to whether this is, in fact, the best way to proceed for those, especially under age 18. It should be absolutely 100% illegal, death penalty fined if you touch an underage child for a sexual surgical change. You should be put in Old Sparky with a sponge on your head with no water so it fries the crap out of you because you went and messed with a child. Pedophile. Anybody who does that should be considered a pedophile. I don't care if you have a PhD or anything like that. You're a pedophile if you're doing it. But these doctors and other healthcare professionals are actually saying, and these are in several countries, not here in the United States only, several countries, pulling back on the medical treatment and instead emphasizing on psychotherapy. There's something going on inside the person's mind, the child. It has a mind that's developing and hormones are kicking in and they're feeling like they don't know what's going on and stuff like that. They have a problem. And the reason they got a problem up here is from the liberal parents and the little bitty people. Oh, little Johnny, you did that wrong, but you're a winner. Here's a chicken dinner, and you're okay. I don't care you burnt the car down. You're okay. Just don't play with matches again. This is the 10th time we've had to tell you. You burnt the neighbor's house down, but Johnny, you're okay. You're not teaching discipline. You're actually weakening that child because you're not teaching the discipline. They're not being held accountable and responsible for their actions. So now they grow up and this puberty stuff kicks in and everything, and they like lose their mind. And they hear some doofus over here on TikTok, like that stupid teacher, and they're going, "Ooh, yeah, I feel like a girl today. I could play with a doll." That's because they're still in the age of playing with little toys. And yep, little Johnny, let's go cut your pecker off. Let's give you some estrogen and all that. And let's put fake boobs on you. You're 10, bro. You're going through some stuff inside. You will be okay. Slap your mom in the face and tell her to leave your Peter alone. Pedophile. Pedophile. They need psychotherapy first. They need to figure out what's going on up here. They will realize I am a dude. I'm okay. This will pass. And I like girls. That's what's going to happen. That's what happens. And then they have this, they can, what they call detransition. So they come back. Now, there's certain things you can't come back from. If you've removed your ovaries, you removed your uterus, and you removed all the workings of the boobs for feeding a child, you ain't coming back from that. You cut your Peter off and your genitals off and everything like that, you can sew something on in a fashion of that, but it's not going to work like that. And if you cut your little marbles off, you probably are never going to have a child either because you ain't got no sperm to shoot. They're doing this to kids at 8, 9, and 10, and 12, and 14 years old when they're just coming into the realm of knowing who they are. It's just starting to come into their mind. They're just absolutely in that stage of being crazy because of hormones. It is absolutely normal. Parents, California, New York, stop. Stop. Virginia, y'all the ones up there talking about the parents, calling them domestic terrorists, wanting the FBI to come in and arrest the parents because they don't want you to teach them this stuff. Stop. Protect our children. If you're on here, we're going to die soon. They're the ones left. And you're destroying the entire world, especially this country, by what you're doing to the kids. We would go into CRT, but I ain't ready for that tonight. This one here was a strong one, and it's absolutely asinine for anybody to take a child and just talk to them about cutting off their wiener or their sewing up their vagina, taking off the breast. It's asinine for you to do that to a child. Anybody who starts to teach that, and anybody who actually performs that, anybody who gives the puberty blockers and the other sex hormone to try to push it up, all of them, pedophiles, they need to go to prison. That's what needs to happen. You're touching our children, and you shouldn't be. I hope y'all enjoyed this. If you found it interesting, pass it along. We need to get the word out. Parents need to be bold and stand up. And not just parents. Every adult who has common sense needs to be bold, stand up, and say, listen, enough is enough. We're done with this. Leave our children alone, or we're going to fight back. All right. That's it. Done for tonight. Hope y'all like that. Share this, put it out, give it to everybody. Let's the heck with Facebook. Just put it out there. And I'll see y'all next time. Y'all have a good night. Bye.